Arundhati Vasishtha observation. There are more than 215 observations. We are going to look at number 1. This is the first time finally we are getting into astronomy specific observation. Okay, with not because of yesterday's discussion, but partly due to yesterday's discussion, I drew this. Okay, I will not go into our discussion, but see at the top when we talk of a theory, what is a theory? We can call it a guess, we can call it a conjecture, we can call it a possible or plausible solution. Everyone with me? If you have a problem, you try to solve it. I'll give you 2 examples. Again, my favorite examples. So for Sheel, I'm going to repeat those. Okay. How many of you have this experience? Especially here when instead of the pipes and all, we use the bucket, bucket for water. So what happens is sometimes you just go, you are playing, you want water, wash clothes, dishes, whatever. You lift the bucket, okay, water bucket, and you are ready to go. When you lift the bucket and you are surprised because it quickly comes in your hand and it's empty. How many of you have experienced this, that you lifted the bucket and just came up and you are a bit surprised, because you thought it was filled with water. Has that happened to you? You are surprised and you say, who threw away the water? What happened here? Another example, you are taking steps to the temple wherever you are going around, and suddenly your leg is sprained or you miss the step and you stumble and you look back. It says you are upset at yourself or the stone, right? And you say, what happened here? Who removed the step? Has that happened to you? All of us, right? In both cases, what is happening is, the reason you are surprised when you lift the bucket is because before even lifting the buckets, you thought it should be heavy and there is a water in it. When you stumbled, you thought there should be a step and it wasn't there. You follow what I am saying? So, whether you knew it or not, it's not very conscious, but you had a theory. What was the theory? That there is a water in the bucket and there is a step where you are putting your leg. When that did not happen, you were startled. You said, what happened? Who removed this? Who did this to me? Okay, and then you try to find a solution. Okay, the mother will go and just as the child says, did you remove that? Did you throw that? So we try to find a solution. The theory, guess, conjecture is like that. We have a problem and we want to try to solve the problem. We suggest a solution. Just because we suggest a solution, it is not the final solution, it's not the validated solution. The principle of Nyaya Darshana, Gautama's Nyaya Darshana, it's very, very old. Huh? It's there in the Mahabharata times, it's there in the Ramayana times, so we don't know exactly how old it is. It might have been slightly added up and that's always happens. It's very old. One of the principles of Gautama's Nyaya Darshana is no knowledge is intrinsically valid. Just because it is written, it's not valid. That is one of the precept of Nyaya Darshana. No knowledge is intrinsically valid. Okay, so you are finding a solution. The second step, not second step, this second point you can say. Now yesterday we talked about that pramana and all, and so we can go on and on. But my point is, so I did not write anything here. I did not write pratyaksha, anumana, agama, pramana. Okay, but the places are there. So theory, guess, conjecture, possible solution. Then here I have evidence. I wrote down evidence yesterday. It's still there, but I'm not stuck on the evidence. If you want to call evidence, fine. Proof, fine. Explanation, fine. Information, fine. Knowledge, fine. In fact, let me see if I need to write something else. Where is the other marker? Can you find another marker? Oh there? Okay. Insight. Okay. I'm going to write one more. Aha. Have you heard that? Aha moment. Huh? Eureka. Very good. Go write Eureka. I loved it. Okay. Not intuition. Intuition would be possibly here that goes into making up a theory. Intuition goes into making up a theory. But this one is sort of a Eureka moment. I like that. Okay. Ma'am, do you like chocolates? Yes or no? Huh? Who doesn't? Okay. So for that Eureka moment, okay. So the original contribution, okay, to this. Okay. Yeah, okay, so eureka moment. No, that's true, you got it, okay. So my point is, I'm not stuck on the words, okay. There is something that is happening there, I'm finding a word for it, okay. So all of this. Now this last one, okay, we use the Anuman kind of thing, inference, prediction, conclusion. Now you see those are three different words. In a certain context, inference would be a better word. In another context, prediction would be a better word. Another context, conclusion would be a better word. You follow with me? Okay, Anuman. In the math, in the chemistry experiment, we write Anuman, right, at the end. This is a pratyaksha sort of thing. You can call it objective testing. You call it repeatability, which means if I am looking at the moon, okay, today's moon, and we say, okay, that looks like the moon of Ashada. The other person we can invite and say, okay, what do you think this is a full moon of? He says, well, depending on the position, could be Ashada, but you know, I don't know, can go as a Jeshta too. That is a possibility. So we are looking at possibly repeatability, reproducibility. Repeatability means I go look at it now, I note it down, I go back and take another reading. How many of you have done chemistry, titration? 3 readings minimum, yeah, something like that. It's the same thing. That's repeatability. Then the guy standing next to you also does the same titration. Does he get the same pH, whatever it is? Yeah, that's reproducibility. Then we have a stability. If the same solution is sitting there, today you used it, tomorrow you do the same experiments, is it the same? Or did somebody pour the water during the night? You know what I'm saying? Stability. Linearity. Okay? If you try to play around little bit, so suppose in astronomy you use a different software. Does the result change? Instead of a simulation, you use a mathematical calculation. Does the result change? That is a stability. So that's what we mean here by whatever we want to call it as a pratyaksha in that sense. So you don't want to use the word pratyaksha, that's fine. The last one, agama, I use the word establish, authorize, background knowledge. You understand what I'm saying? Even I'm willing to use the word suppositions. Now what is a supposition? You don't know even if it is true. You can suppose things, right? In math we say let x be assumption, okay? So things can be supposed, okay? Things can be assumed without supposing them. Without supposing them meaning without supposing them to be true, okay? Sir Karl Popper uses a wonderful term, here I will not write it. He says rationality without foundations. Rationality without foundations, okay? Which is again goes back to Nasadiya Sukta. So if you just literally take the Nasadiya Sukta, he says maybe he knows, gods don't know. Then the next one is maybe that Paramatma Tattva knows, or maybe he knows not. Now one person will say, come on, now Paramatma Tattva also may not know not, why even bother trying anything? Does that make sense? That is a one approach. But what it is telling us, the practical Indian approach is telling us, is that actually you try many times and you get the answer. The science tells the same thing. There is no guarantee of success. But if you try, more than likely it happens. That is the beauty, okay? So we are going to use this and you will see the context in which it applies for every single observation. So let's get to Arundhati Vasishta. I already gave you the conclusion that 11,091 BCE to 4508 BCE. We saw this verse the first day, okay? Yachaisha Visuta Rajas. Now, one of the element of scientific acumen is that Indriya Pramanya, objective testing. That is my translation, okay? So, where does this verse occur? It occurs in Bhishma Parva, Adhyay 2.31. This is a day before the war begins. Vyasa is thinking, let me make a final attempt to see if I can stop the war. He comes to Dhritarashtra and tries to tell him many things. You know, look, just like Arjuna was saying there will be a Varna Sankar, let's not do the war. Now he's saying many things happen. Vyasa is saying to Dhritarashtra. Among the list, he says this observation. And he says, Yachaisha Visuta Rajas Trailoke Sadhu Sammata Arundhati Tayapesha Vasishta Prushtata Kruta. Okay. So quick, high level, useful translation for our purposes. I mean, it's sufficient. Arundhati has gone ahead of Vasishta is sufficient for our purposes. Okay. Respected, renowned in 3 words, that's all there. But for our purposes, Arundhati has gone ahead of Vasishta. Okay. Now, what's the big deal about this observation? The big deal is that out of more than 130 Mahabharata researchers who claim to use Mahabharata evidence to come out at the Mahabharata date, only 4 researchers, and you know I have deliberately written this underline, dare mention this observation. Okay? The two of them explain it away, one other went on a tangent, the remaining one attempted testing it 3 times and failed. So, unless you understand the context, you will not see the importance of this observation. Okay, it's a one observation. Now, some people say, what does a one observation does? If you have read the history of science, you will find almost every time it is the one observation that changed the whole history, that made the revolution. Anyone knows the one observation that made Einstein right and Newton wrong? Anyone knows that? I'll give you a hint. The year was 1919, solar eclipse. They sent, it was such an important thing, they sent one team to Brazil, one team to Africa, okay, from England, solar eclipse. And do you know how much was the delta? So, for example, Newton had predicted this and Einstein, based on Einstein theory, had predicted this. Do you know what was the difference between their prediction? Anyone? No. 360 degrees, we understand in the sky. Total circle is a 360 degree. Okay, that 1 degree if you divide, it becomes 60 minutes. 360 degrees. 1 degree into 60 minutes, or you call it arc minutes. Then you take that 1 minute. Okay, so just to give you a physical feel for what 1 degree is. The full moon that we see is half a degree. The full sun that we see in the sky is half a degree approximately. So think of the twice of that, like this maybe, is a 1 degree. Divide this into 60. Okay, that is a 1 arc minute. Take that thing and divide it into 60, that is a 1 arc second. You follow what I am doing? Like this. This is due to Newton and this was due to Einstein. The difference between them two was 1.7 arc second. 2 arc second. So, according to one theory, it will be star will be seen here at the eclipse. According to another theory, it was seen here. And it so happened that in this round, Einstein won. Okay, so it came out where Einstein predicted, Einstein's theory predicted, it came out there and not the Newton's. And then there were many attempts to falsify Einstein's theory. That's how it should work, right? Every new test is to falsify the theory. Suppose you are standing on a plank, the wooden plank, and you just do like this to see if it breaks. What are you doing? You are in a way trying to break it, if you think of it, no? Right? Trying to falsify. Okay, so only 4 people. Now, who are those 4 people? The reason I'm mentioning it, these are not some 4 people I say, let me do something on the weekend. No. The first one is C.V. Vaidya. Okay, Lokmanya Tilak gave him the title Bharatacharya because of his detailed work on Mahabharata. When he looked at this observation, and we are going to look at it, he said, you know what, this doesn't make sense. This is not possible in astronomy. So someone must have inserted it afterwards. So that's one. The second one, again a great researcher, Panduranga Vaman Kane. Okay, I looked at her because her work is on Dharma Sutra and his whole book on history of Dharma Sutra, the Dharma Shastra, sorry, and 5 volumes available, archive.org, download, read for different reasons, not just astronomy. It's a wonderful work. He also reached the same conclusion. Like again, he was a good astronomer himself. He looked at it and he says, you know what, this is something impossible to happen. Impossible in the very order of nature. Those are the words of Panduranga Vaman Kane. He was a Mahamahoopadhyay, he was a Bharat Ratna. Okay. The third one is Professor R.N. Iyengar. Okay. He has written a paper on Arundhati. Have you read it? No? It's available in public. Just type, Krishna's lore and astronomy observations in Mahabharata or something. So, read for it. I have quoted in my book. Essentially, he tried to do something, I call it jugad. You know the Hindi word jugad? Try to do some jugad, reach nowhere, okay? It just comes out as a blabbering, okay? But I want you to read it, I want you to read it, what he has written and make sense out of it. But he attempted, he acknowledged that observation. And the fourth one is Dr. P.V. Vartak. Now, he tried to test it. P.V. Vartak tried to test it in 3 different ways. Okay, I will not go into it, it's in my book. Tried to test it in 3 different ways. And when he was not successful, then he wrote it down in a very scientific spirit. He came up with a date, but then he wrote down, he said, you know what, I request all the astronomers, experts to please study this Arundhati Vasishtha observation and assist in the chronology of the Mahābhārata war. So even when he is predicting, he is willing to accept that maybe he is wrong. You understand what I am saying at any given time. So those were the 4 ones. So that's the last one. Now, there are many researchers. So I get these arguments during my lectures where people will say, but you know what, Nilesh, Mahabharata is so huge, 125,000 verses, and it's not very difficult for someone to miss the this particular observation. Actually, that's not, I mean, that's quite possible. I remember I read Mahabharata and many things I just simply miss. Somebody will tell me a story and say that story is there in Mahabharata and I don't remember reading it. So that's possible. But anyone who is working on the chronology or anyone who is working in the astronomy evidence can never play with that argument that somehow we missed it. Do you know why? We have evidence of it. Yeah, I wrote there. On that page that I showed you the first day I read it, there were 4 observations. Every single Mahabharata researcher who refers to astronomy evidence refers to remaining 3, but not this 4th. Okay, so let's see what the observation is. We understand that is the North Pole, and if you take a long short picture, long exposure, you will see all the stars making their traces, making a circle around the North Pole star. So depending on that, what you may able, and they go in the anti-clockwise direction, remember that, okay? Anti-clockwise. So here, if we go and stand in that ground in front of the Illam, okay, and look at towards the Mallika, right? Look at towards the Mallika at north. I need north. So you have to look towards Mallika, right? Yeah. Look towards this that building, like the Shiva Sri, whatever, And so what you're going to see at night, you will see this time of the year, you'll see the Saptarshi, and from there you go down straight like this, you're going to see the North Pole star, okay? And what you see is the Saptarshis, as an example, they have come like this and they're going to go. So that's the anti-clock direction. Do you follow? It's going to go anti-clockwise direction. So the stars go like this, and we can say, for example, based on the tracks, that this star, whatever it is walking ahead of this star. Do you follow? Yeah? Everyone? Anyone has a confusion there? This star, I would say, is walking ahead of this star because they are going anti-clockwise. Very important. Okay? Now we also talked about the multiple pole stars. Okay? So this is our circle. Now I'm going to draw this circle. So this is our current Polaris. Okay? And just to exaggerate it, I'm going to separate so that you can see it. This is the position of Arundhati. The relative positions are correct. This is the position of Vasishtha. And they go anti-clockwise around the Polaris. So they will go like this and make a circle. This is our Vega or Abhijit or Polaris, the 12,048 pole star. And now I am drawing this circle. What is this circle? It's not the circle of Earth around the Sun. It is the circle of the Earth's axis, the axis of the precession. You follow what I am saying? So along that we have a different pole stars. For example, in 12,000 BC we have Abhijit as a pole star. In our times we have Polaris as a pole star, and so on. This is where Earth's axis is pointing. I am also going to draw, so that takes 26,000 years, right? I am also going to draw a straight line that goes through Vasishtha and Arundhati, and it cuts that circle twice. With me? Yeah? I am going to call those points A and B. Well, it's not come yet. Okay, A and B. And mathematically, I can know exactly when the pole star would be here. Not pole star, the point of North Pole. The star, if happens to be a star, that is a pole star. You can have a position when there is no pole star. But this is the NCP, the North Celestial Pole, the point here or point there. Right now it is 2100. I know that the whole circle has to take 26,000 years. Actually, the exact number is 25,692, and there are some variations. Remember our approximation, the two babies are the same. In reality, there is another motion, like, this is not smooth. This is also like this. Nutation, it's called, so I'm not taking you there. But because I know the speed, I can find out exactly the time for each of this. It can be mathematically calculated, it can be done with this astronomy simulation. Okay? So those are the 2 years. And the C is where we are today, okay, the North Pole. And also I'm going to mark another year, which is, and I'm going to call that X 5561 BC. Now you know why, because I want to show, you know, that 5561 BC is the year of Mahābhārata War. But it does, I mean, this Arundhati Vasishtha doesn't give me 5561 BC. It simply tells me you cannot go before 11,091, cannot go after 4500. With me? Okay. So what happens? Now this is the crux, this is the important point. This line divided this whole thing into 3 different types, 3 categories, 3 views. One is A, C, B. So if I start A, C and B, anywhere the point of North Pole, if the Earth's axis is pointing here, anywhere along the ACB, what you are going to see is that Vasishtha would be ahead. Don't see why. If you understand, great. If not, I'm going to show you on the next slide. Vasishtha would appear to walk ahead of Arundhati. If anywhere the point of North Pole is along the ACB. If the point of North Pole is either at B or A, you will see Vasishtha and Arundhati are walking exactly together, as if like, you know, in the clock. Do we have a wall clock? It's like on the arm. They are sitting on the one arm. So no one ahead, no one behind. Okay. And then the remaining portion AXB, you will see Arundhati appear to walk. When I say appear, you know what I mean, because it's the way it is seen, like we see sun appear to walk around in the sky, something like that. Sun is not walking, right? So Arundhati ahead of Vasishtha, and I call this epoch of Arundhati or Arundhati Yuga. Okay. So let's see why that happens. So our today's scenario, okay, this is Arundhati, this is Vasishtha. They are going to go anti-clockwise. Okay, so I just draw the lines to make it sort of clear to you. Remember, they are going anti-clockwise. So these are the 2 arms sort of like that, and they're going to like this. Can everyone tell me who is going to be ahead and who is going to be behind? If these 2, they are going to go around this point of North Pole. Who will be ahead? Who will be behind? Okay, everyone understand? Who does not understand that the Vasishtha would appear walking ahead and Arundhati would walk behind? Everyone understands? I take it. Okay. All right. So that's how it is. The trajectories might help you. Arundhati is behind Vasishtha. If you do a simulation and someone asks me if can you run a simulation, maybe it's a challenge, you know, on the online. But during the break, I will find out. If I can find a YouTube video, I'll show you, you know, literally. And it still won't be clear. They will look like these dots, you know. So this is shown on what? February 26, 2016, our times. Okay. This line that you see in the middle is called the line of meridian. How many of you understand what is meridian in the astronomy sense? At any given location, when the star reaches the highest point in your sky and then starts going down. Okay. So highest point meaning the Saptarshi will come there up and go down. So what is the highest point? That is the line meridian, essentially joins the poles, you know, imaginary line, by the way. So meridian is the best place to observe the stars. Astronomers know that, because then all parallax, all confusion is removed, who crosses. So if you see here, remember the motion is anti-clockwise. Vasishtha has already crossed the meridian. Arundhati has yet to cross the meridian. That is the story today, 2016. Same story for 2018. Trust me on that one, okay? If you go back 1000 years, same scenario. If you go back 2000 years, same thing. 3000 years, same thing. 4000 years, same thing. 5000 years, same thing. 6000 years, same thing. What is the same thing? Vasishtha is walking ahead of Arundhati. Vyasa is saying at the time of Mahābhārata war, Arundhati is walking ahead of Vasishtha. Arundhati tayapesha Vasishtha prushtata kruta. Arundhati has put Vasishtha on her back, you know, on the back side. Okay. Now, the second scenario that I said, if the point of North Pole, the Earth's axis is pointing here or here, here in 11,091, there in 4508 BCE. Now again, imagine the anti-clockwise movement, and you can draw the trajectories for those, and you can see either both A or B. Do you notice when they cross the meridian, or Vasishtha is on the meridian and so is Arundhati. You can see the year 11,091 BCE. in the simulation. You can do mathematically. Everyone with me? No one ahead, no one behind. Same thing for 4508 BC. No one ahead, no one behind. Now these are static pictures, but if I could run the simulation, they will just go like this, you know, and you can see it. Now let's look at the third scenario. The third scenario is what? A, X, B. Anywhere along this line, and I've just selected 5561 just to quickly make that point, but 5562 same thing, and 6000 BC the same thing, okay, 8000 BC the same thing. So if I'm drawing the lines from there, from that point, one to Arundhati, one to Vasishtha, not much difference, but just notice it. And again, the motion is anti-clockwise. Now, who do you think will walk ahead and who will walk behind? Not much difference, but do you see Arundhati would walk ahead? Everyone sees it. Who does not see? Raise your hand. Don't be shy. Okay. Anyone else besides him who doesn't see why Arundhati would walk ahead and Vasishtha would walk behind? Yeah, 2. Very good. Thank you. Anyone else? 3, 4. Very good. Please, more. No? Just because I asked you raise the hand? No, you don't see it, right? Okay. So 6 people. Who can explain? Who can explain here that Arundhati would appear walking ahead and Vasishtha behind? Yeah, come here in the front. Come. Give it a try. Where is the microphone?
As I understand, the reference for tracking the movement of Arundhati and Vasishtha is that line AB.
You're explaining them.
Line AB is the reference for tracking the movement of Vasishtha and Arundhati. So now, because this line has now tilted here like this, Arundhati moves ahead, like it crosses this AB before Vasishtha. That's what I
okay.
think.
How many? Go ahead. Please come here. Give a microphone.
The AB is along the precession circle. So it's not necessarily what we're talking about is viewing it from the earth, what appears ahead. So if it is at the point A or at the point B, the two would almost appear together. That means if we take at the highest point, the crossing of Arundhati and Vasishtha would almost be together. But sometime before the point A, that means we are going back. Point A is closer to our times. So we are going 6,000 years before present, or 8,000 years before present, or 10,000 years before present time. If we look up at the sky along that meridian, okay, the thing is that there the Arundhati star would cross that meridian before the Vasishtha star because of our view from the earth. It's not actually their movement relative to each other may remain the same, but it is what appears to us from earth, it would appear like that. Yeah. That's the way I understand.
Yeah, okay, thank you. You can go.
AB for meridian actually.
Yeah, no, you explained very well. Now, just because, you know, if they have not found, that's fine. Okay. When I gave you the first scenario, A, C, B, everyone understood why Vasishtha would be ahead and Arundhati behind? Guys, you have to say something to me, okay? You cannot be just blankly looking at me here. Okay, what was this? This was the point. Sorry, I'm going forward. This is very important that you understand, okay? Because if this is not understood, I can tell you the direction for rest of the day. It's downhill. If you don't understand this, it's all downhill, okay? In fact, therefore, when I have these discussions with other Mahabharata researchers, by the way, this is not difficult, okay? So, although you are struggling, that's fine. We'll fix it. But if you don't understand this, people say, you know what? But leave the Arundhati Vasishtha aside for a minute, and I say you cannot do that. Okay, somebody, I don't know what the ingredients, but say idli, you know, Leave the rice and urad dal and steaming aside for a minute. Let's have some idli. Can you have idli? It is that important, okay? So here everyone understands. So what it is doing is we have three scenarios. We have a circle, we have cut the line, and this is the point of where the Earth's axis is pointing. What I am saying is if the Earth's axis is pointing at ACB, so what is the significance of a pole star? All the stars, including not just Arundhati Vasishtha, even this Vega, right now that's what happens. Vega also appears to go around the pole star. Arundhati goes around pole star, Vasishtha goes around pole star. Everyone is going around the pole star. Yes, okay. So that's what is happening. So ACB, that is the scenario I am saying, then Vasishtha appears walk ahead of Arundhati. Then on the line, this is like a clock. If you have a wall clock, imagine a wall clock. This is the point and one of the arm of the clock, and Arundhati Vasishtha, when I draw the straight line, Arundhati and Vasishtha are on the same arm of the clock. So when the arm goes, Arundhati Vasishtha are together, no one ahead, no one behind, they are on the arm. So far so good. So that is the second scenario. Now in the third scenario, what is happening is the pole star is either here, not pole star, sorry, the point of North Pole is either here or here or here or here. Those who are into mathematics and geometry shouldn't be an issue at all, but those who are here, now from here I draw one line to Arundhati here, another line to Vasishtha. So how they look? This is to Arundhati, this is to Vasishtha, yeah, and I am saying the motion of them is anti-clockwise. So if this is Arundhati, this is Vasishtha, they are very close compared to the others, and they are going like this, like the two clocks of the arm. Vasishtha, Arundhati would appear ahead of Vasishtha. Yes, I am going to show you the picture. You will find, so what I showed you is this, okay. Okay, so if you are looking at night, okay, so you saw them here, you know, early evening, you saw them here, Vasishtha was here, Arundhati was here. After some time when you see Vasishtha here, Arundhati here. The distance between them is not changing. Distance between them is same. But who is walking ahead? So for example, sun come, don't we talk of sun? Oh, sun has come up. What does that mean? Sun hasn't done anything, but to us it looks like that. So in this case, Vasishtha is walking ahead of Arundhati. How do we know? Therefore, I use the meridian. We are running 400 meters and you know, you just cut the line. Huh? Who cut it first? Huh? No, not Arundhati here. Vasishtha cut first. It is anti-clockwise, right? So Vasishtha has gone ahead of meridian, Arundhati has not yet gone off meridian. With me? This is, I see a confusion. No? Okay, this is the scenario today. This was the scenario 1000 years ago, 2000, 3000, 4000, 5000, 6000 years ago. Okay, possibly good question. If there is a gap between, yes. No, okay, you are stuck in binary. No, don't get stuck on the binary. Plate is fine, plate will work. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So either up or bottom, is that what you're asking? Like going in the circle down? It doesn't matter. For example, suppose we are looking at the top and the bottom we will not able to see. Now we are, I mean, he's not making complicated, but we are making as a complicated because bottom you will not able to see in our times. Why? Because it's no longer a circumpolar stars. Actually, they set. Arundhati and Vasishtha go down. But there was also a time when they did not go down. Okay, now that explanation will take another 2 days. So I'm not going to go there. Okay. So if they were circumpolar, what would have happened is at another time when they crossed here. Did I do something? No. I just touched it and they gone. You know. Okay. So when they cross here, Vasishtha would look here and Arundhati would be still behind. Are you with me? So it doesn't matter where, even if you look here, it is the same scenario and here, but it is very easy to show it with the meridian because it has, one has crossed the meridian, other has not crossed the meridian. Okay? How many of more converts? If you are still not understood, I want you to raise the hand. I mean, I mean it. You have understood? Okay, who has not understood yet? Raise the hand. Not. Okay, good. Anyone else? Please raise a hand. It's not held against you. Okay. So take a leap of faith with me for a minute. Okay. All right. So that's the scenario now. That's what I'm showing you. Now the second scenario. In this case, the point of North Pole is here. Okay. Not pole star here. And now everything is going around that point in a circle. So in this case, when you look at it, Arundhati is neither ahead nor behind Vasishtha. And how do we see it? If we look at them crossing at the meridian, either in 11,9000 BC or 4508 BC, when they cross the meridian, they do it exactly at the same time. No one ahead, no one behind. Okay. So now if we take the third scenario, just there is a slight difference. I don't, so one is like I draw the line to Arundhati next to Vasishtha, they are going anti-clockwise direction. And now if I draw the picture, do you see the picture now? Simulation. Arundhati, not much difference. Arundhati has already crossed the meridian. Remember, it's anti-clockwise. Vasishtha has yet to cross the meridian. You saw why? It is like this. Arundhati has crossed the meridian, Vasishtha has not. So Arundhati is now walking ahead of Vasishtha. Okay. Now this was the scenario that last one I showed you, existed from 11,091 BC to 4508 BC. Now their distance would have slightly changed, but still Arundhati always ahead of Vasishtha during that time. What is, now we bring the logic. So what we just did is here, objective testing, repeatability, if you do reproducibility, stability, linearity, if you use mathematics, if you use something else, different formula, you should get the same answer. If you make some correction, some problem, some crude assumption, 4508 BC might become 4500, some back of the envelope calculation, but it won't change dramatically, you understand, and it doesn't affect us. So now we are going to look at how to analyze this, and again the framework becomes useful, I will show you in a minute. So assuming the Vyasa's statement is true, we talk about the Shabda. This is a Shabda Praman. Now Vyasa's stating is a Shabda Praman. Now what we have done here is that the Shabda Praman, the words of Mahābhārata War or the Mahabharata text or the words of Vyasa are validated by Pratyaksha, objective testing. We can see it, we can see with, now see with the Chakshu of what? Chakshu of astronomy simulation, Chakshu of mathematics, Chakshu of visual geometry, whatever you want to call it. Yes.
This can also be 26,000 plus or multiples of 26,000 plus, right?
Great question. Okay. I may give you chocolates afterwards, okay? Okay. So now, how many of you understood the question he is asking? And I am going to answer that, but let me see if there is another slide. Okay. So just let me complete, I will come back to this. So this is a framework. Now against this, now please ignore this Pratyaksha Anuna Pramana, you can just take it like this. What is my theory? For all of Ramayana, all of Mahabharata and for everything else, but just let's stick to Mahabharata. All the astronomy observations of the Mahabharata text are actual, factual, visual observations of the sky. Okay. Now these three words are not necessary. So initially I said they are visual observations of the sky. Then someone says, oh, but if it is the sun, how do you see the nakshatra? Then I say factual, actual, factual, visual. You see, that's how the words gets added. Every time someone raises an objection, I have to clarify. Okay. So all astronomy observations of the Mahabharata, just for our thing, are visual, actual, factual observations of the sky. That is the theory. Okay. That's my assumption, you can say. That's my solution. What is my background knowledge, established knowledge, authorized knowledge, something that I can use that. Precession of equinoxes, we saw that. So I have to take it for granted 26,000 year is correct. The precision is indeed happening. I am telling you guys, this is not war stories. Just 2 years ago, December 2016, I gave similar talk just on Arundhati and one observation. And there were these, the designation doesn't matter, but two great researchers, I am saying they are PhDs, they are from one Sampradaya, Swamis, all of this. And they were they were stunned and stuck with the movement of the pole star, meaning the fact that pole star changes. They said, hold on, Nilesh, we have got a problem here. We have got problem with this thing. Why? Because they said Bhagavata story will come in trouble. The Bhagavata Dhruva, you know, the kid Dhruva was said, hey, you will never change. Now what to do with it? And I said, okay, so but you know, the Dhruva of Bhagavata, or at least your understanding of it, comes in trouble not because of what I showed you. If you care to read rest of the ancient literature, you will see many Dhruvas. The Thuban is there. Somebody asked me during the break, you know, the Draco, the whole Draco constellation. It said the 14th star of it is the Dhruvatara, that is the Thuban. That takes us to 3000 BC. Professor Iyengar has written a great paper on it, the Thuban as a pole star. Okay, so it's already there. Brahma Rashi as a pole star is there. And you know, 26,000 is a something fact you can verify. The precision of equinoxes is verified. There's sufficient evidence in our literature. We should feel proud of it that we have the evidence which no other culture has. But somebody stuck in the what to do with the Dhruva. Okay, so sometime Henrik Zimmer, you know, those of you who heard the name, you know, great Devi Bhakta by the way, you know, he has said the best things can never be told. You try to tell them, people are not ready. Best things can never be told. Second best are misunderstood. You know what that is? Metaphor, allegory. Most of our literature, in our literature, many things are told in a metaphor. Like moon visiting everyone, moon visiting Rohini the most, not visiting other nakshatras, they getting angry, going to Brahma. Even this Abhijit, falling of Abhijit, I said Abhijit Spardhamana to Rohini Kannishi Swasa. Abhijit started competing with the sister of Rohini. Nakshatra, you know, and then tapastaptum vanam gata, went to the forest, literal meaning, you know. And then Tatra Bhadram te Nakshatram, Nakshatram Gaganachutam, the nakshatra fell from the sky, Abhijit fell from the sky. Kalam Tvam Param Skanda Brahmana Sachintaya. And now Indra is saying to Skanda, please go to Brahma, discuss with him what to do now. This is a big problem. Dhanishtadi Tada Kalo Brahmana Parinirmita. At that time, Brahma started a calendar with Dhanishta as the first nakshatra. Rohinyadi Bhavet Purvam Evam Sankhya Samabhavat. Rohini used to be in the first place before that. So now we are suddenly the stories that Indra is going to Skanda saying go to Brahma, and then they're discussing. Now if you take it literally, you will not understand this is about the calendar. Are you with me? Somebody had a question here? Yeah. Just we'll come back. Yeah.
Coming again back to that AV observation. So the observation is always with respect to pole star. So and the meridian passes
not pole star, the point of pole, North Pole.
North Pole. So
yeah.
And the meridian passes to the North Pole.
But not from the pole, not observed from the pole star, observed from the earth.
From the
yeah.
earth you are observing the pole, and with respect to the pole you are observing the
star.
So now, as because of the precision, the point at which you are observing in the sky, that meridian line shifted.
So meridian line is
always
a standard
to the North
line.
Pole.
Yeah.
It's a line which always to the North Pole. Or to the pole star. It's an imaginary line which goes to North Pole, and so and the North Pole is in reference to the pole star.
Yeah.
So as the precision happened, there was a shift in the meridian.
Oh, forget the pole star. The pole star is a reference. Pole, North Pole.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to just figure out is, was there a change in the meridian because of which the point from which we are observing?
Meridian doesn't change. So for example, many things might change, but the east doesn't change. The ecliptic is the same. The ecliptic, the Earth's sun's path is same. So based on that, the north, south, east, west are decided.
The meridian is always the Greenwich only.
Nothing to do with the Greenwich.
So
British stole it. It was Ujjain. Now that's another subject totally. You know, the meridian is at any given place that you are, the highest point in the sky where you will see the stars attain. The star attains the highest point.
Okay.
They will attain. The meridian is by definition is where all stars that are visible attain their highest point in the sky at that location. Forget North Pole, forget South Pole, although that is the definition.
But again, that's the highest point at which we see. That depends on
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. See, if you remove the pole star, everything's will good, because you know the point of pole is changing. Accordingly, the meridian will change. But it is the point, it is not the star. So don't try rotating the stars. Just leave the stars where they are. Okay. But so what is the concern? I mean, so no, I mean just something you have, just like agama, the bottom, you know. So for example, the precession of the equinoxes, if you start, not you, but anyone starts questioning it, I said, no, we are not ready for this. Then we need a class on precision of equinoxes. We see, when we go here, you have to be convinced about this. Okay, when we are doing in the classroom, in reality, how many of you have seen the movie Matrix? Okay, yeah. How many of you, I mean this is just side subject, but how many of you believe that we are not dreaming this and we are actually in the class at CIF talking Mahabharata? There is no way to prove that, guys. This could be a dream. There is no way to prove that this is not a dream. Are you with me? Suddenly you might wake up and says, my God, I am late for the class, day 2. It is a possibility. But we are willing to accept that this is a reality. So the point I am making is, just like the precision of equinoxes, you have to accept the proper motion, you have to accept the modern astronomy. Like you say, oh, I don't trust NASA data, for example. Then we have nothing to discuss. No, I know. So similarly, what I am saying is, you have to take a leap of faith and saying that even if the meridian changes, that has nothing to do with Arundhati, you not able to see Arundhati or something. Huh? What is it? Or whether we land on the moon or not, you know. I mean, so you can have that debate. But my point is, this one is not even in a question. When I was asking, did you see it? It is like for you, to your ability. I want to ensure that you saw. Right. Okay. Also let me give you another way. I showed the meridian to help you. I mean, not help you, help all of us. If the meridian has become a problem, also ignore it. Just ignore that the meridian doesn't exist. Still, you should able to see why Arundhati is ahead and Vasishtha behind and vice versa. Are you with me? If meridian sometimes helps, like suppose I just drew this, I mean, I had these folks here and then go do the circle. Would you agree that it can also be understood without making Arya do this dance? It's possible. So Arya coming here and doing this dance was to assist you visually. But if it confuses you, forget what Arya did. Just understand that the earth does this, the lunar month changes every 2000 years with the season. Just take it on a leap of faith, because that's the fact that can be verified with this objective testing, repeatability, reproducibility, all of this, we have evidence and so on. But the reason I ask and reason I willing to spend time is that sometime, you know, I mean, not necessarily your case, sometime the comprehension is because of some other reason. I mean, I just want to assure it's not because now that Arundhati is not going to walk ahead after 4500 BC, someone is saying, but that's a problem for me, because to me, Mahabharata happened in 3000 BC. Are you with me? Many times that is the issue. But it can come out in a different way. Just like the story I told you at the 2 individuals who were totally worried. I have a picture with them, talking to them, you know, and somebody took a picture. And like they're worried because now what happens to my Dhruva story? So that is not the issue here, right? In your case. Okay. So I just want to understand. So when I said, do you see it? If you're not, because I want you to understand as a visual one. Okay. All right. So, and we can talk afterwards again. So Arundhati Vasishtha as an observation, okay, quickly. Let's look at this. What is it, you know, without going it? Is it evidence? Would you agree that it is evidence from the Mahabharata text? Would you agree that now proof as a Shabda Praman, yes, I will prove, but let's skip that, not a best one. Explanation, not yet, okay. Information, would you agree that it is an information from the Mahabharata? It is a knowledge from the Mahabharata? Yes, Vyasa said it is going ahead. Insight, not yet. Aha, not yet. Not yet meaning when we started. Eureka, not yet. Not yet meaning before doing this, it's not there. Okay. Now what we did is, we looked at the astronomy calculations, we looked at the simulation, which is what we did for last 15-20 minutes, and I indeed showed you that there was a time period when Arundhati indeed walked ahead of Vasishtha. Okay? So that is their actual observation, and the inference, the prediction, the prediction is not the good one here. Okay, but the inference is, or the conclusion is, and what is the conclusion? If this is true, so if I trust Vyasa's words here, and if I can actually factually find out when that happened, or that it does happen, it tells me that it did happen between 1191 BC, 45 BC. So the inference or the conclusion is that the Mahabharata war happened sometime between those two dates. Everyone with me? So that is the benefit of that framework. Okay. And we can use this for every one of those. Okay, so yes. Thank you. The same old question, no? But is there a mention of Vasishtha? Yeah, Vasishtha. Okay, Vasishtha walking ahead of the Arundhati. Is there a mention of it? No, there is no mention. And the simple story that many people tell, I'll tell you. If have you read the news? Not a good analogy, but I'll use it for that reason. Have you read the news of a dog biting a human being? Somewhere? Yes, yeah? You have it. Have you read the news of man biting the dog? No, rare. My point is, man biting a dog is a news. Dog biting a man is not a news. Okay, so the question is no, the answer is no, we don't have that. Okay, but he is saying Arundhati walked ahead of Vasishtha. The factual thing is, okay, so it's not there. Okay, everyone understood his question? Okay, let me go to his first question. He asked, now this Arundhati walked ahead of Vasishtha during these 6,500 years. But this is only the one cycle. Was that your same question? No. What if you go back another 26,000 years in the past? Maybe Arundhati was walking ahead of Vasishtha too. That was his first question. Okay. Lucky me. Okay. So what happens is this. So this is, say, Arundhati, and right now we did Vasishtha here. Okay. So from here, or say from here, we had this Arundhati, we had this Vasishtha, and they going in this direction. You agree? It so happened, okay, the both stars, I wrote down proper motions. Like you asked, do the stars are moving? Yes, they are also moving. They're just moving so slow. Right now, Arundhati is towards the north of this, okay. So, and this Vasishtha is to the south. So, the north direction is like this. This is north and this is south, if it helps. They have their own proper motions. Right now, both of them are going in this direction. They are going southeast. I am just simplifying. They are going to the south. Vasishtha is going twice faster than Arundhati. Follow so far? So, if we go backwards, it so happens when you go to the another cycle of precession of equinoxes, like this whatever 6,005 plus 26,000, by that time what has happened is this guy, this Vasishtha is here. So, if you go back to like say 30,000 or something like that, another cycle of precession, you follow? So, now what happens? Because it is here, the scenario that you saw, Arundhati walking ahead of Vasishtha, for a practical purposes, take last 10 million years. Will you be happy with that? 1 million, 10 million. In last 10 million years, there was only one instance from 11,091 BCE to 4508 BCE when Arundhati walked ahead of Vasishtha. Never before. It's a very unique event. That's why I said, lucky me. No, very unique event for last 10 million years. Yeah. Correct, a span of 6,000. Yes, correct. Just a specific 6,500 years. I'll come back now. No. Mathematically, it's impossible. Yeah. Okay, five. No, see, no, his question is 5 million years. It doesn't happen. Actually, I pulled the 5 million numbers like this. Okay, because it doesn't matter after that. But the reason I did not go beyond 5 million years because I wanted I wanted to leave something for someone else to do. What is your name? Okay. If I do everything, what will you guys do? You know, you need to have your name and a fame, right? Okay. No, it's just you know, after some time, this whole things will become a problematic. You know. Yeah. One more. Okay. So you know, going back to this, and see that what I want you to understand is how many nuances are there. Okay, so I mean, you know, this first one you can move on, but that's great. So look at this. This is Arundhati here. Like, you know, you remember that circle here, circle of precision. Arundhati is here, Vasishtha is here. That is the scenario now. Now meaning this cycle of 4500 to 11,000. If you go backwards, keep on going backwards, that another time comes when the pole is north pole is along this. So the north pole would be along this again. 30,000, 35,000 BC or something like this. But because these stars have their own proper motion, just to show you, it will happen as if, like, let's put Arundhati as if it is here, but the Vasishtha, because of proper motion, it would be here. You follow? Proper, because of proper motion. Proper motion is their intrinsic motion against the sky. No. I mean, let's not go why, okay, hold on guys, you know, I mean, so Arundhati ji gave me 2 days. Okay, yeah. I mean, anything can be answered, but it, you know, and by the way, don't discount. I mean, the very fact you are asking the questions is telling me that you understand that depth and you have those. I mean, these are great questions, absolutely great questions. Did you understand what? So proper motion. So that time, if I draw the line, it will go here, it will go here. So other than those 6,500 years, if you go back in the past, no matter how many cycles, Vasishtha is always ahead. Sorry, you take a microphone, even I cannot hear.
After that, it is status quo. It is always ahead.
No, what do you mean? After that status quo? Into the future. Remember where we started this session. In astronomy, everything is moving, everything is rotating, everything is changing. So if you want to do the analysis, any mechanical engineers in the room? Yeah, some of you. Yeah, we talk about the black box, black continuum, what goes here, input and output, we don't care what happens in between. It's the other way. In this case, if you want to do the analysis, we have to restrict ourselves. If you go, oh, what will happen at 10 million? I'll tell you what happens. If you go 13,000 years in the future, again Arundhati will walk ahead of Vasishtha. In future. Nothing magical about it. Again, the same cycle, you know, it may be even more wider, you know. So because this is going faster, now it will be here. So the difference will be even bigger. In this whole thing, I mean, I see a question or concern. Don't lose what are we doing? Mahabharata. Vyasa wrote Mahabharata. Vyasa wrote in Mahabharata that Arundhati is walking ahead of Vasishtha. This is not purely for what is going to go to Arundhati. I can answer that, which is 13,000 years from now, Arundhati will again walk ahead of Vasishtha. So 50,000 years from now, something like that, if somebody reads Mahabharata, now they may not know which one. Now they may not know whether it happened 5561 BCE or 13,000 CE. You follow what I am saying? Because in both cases it went ahead, at least based on just Arundhati Vasishtha. Yes, no? Heavy?
Once that event has occurred, once it has gone ahead, one star has gone ahead, then is it still ahead? Is it status quo still today?
No. See, what is ahead? Great question. It appears from the earth. Today, Vasishtha is ahead. Vasishtha is ahead today. Vasishtha will be ahead for next 11,000 years or so, and Vasishtha was ahead for last 6,000 years. The crux is not what it is. The crux of this argument is the very fact Arundhati walked ahead of Vasishtha is at the time of Mahabharata war, and since for last 6,000 years Vasishtha was ahead of Arundhati and Arundhati was not walking ahead of Vasishtha, therefore Mahabharata war based on this reference definitely did not happen in last 6,000 years. The aha or the eureka is into that statement. The Mahabharata war did not happen anytime after 4508 BCE. Is that eureka? Aha. Why is it eureka? Because of the no, correct. No, all true. But why it becomes a big deal? Anyone? That is the point. Because 95%, in fact, out of 100 3,000, at least based on this observation. You follow? Based on this observation. Because now they have to explain for their date how the Arundhati appeared walking ahead of Vasishtha. See, all knowledge, okay, we looked at information and knowledge. What's the difference between information and knowledge? There are many definitions, but information is Arundhati walked ahead of Vasishtha. You understand? The knowledge is in the context. So that aha turns into when you are looking at the context. The real bigger aha, because 95% of the people are after 4500 BCE. You understand? Now there are 5-6 people who have proposed a year which falls into this, I call it epoch of Arundhati, including myself, right? So there are others. Now how do we solve it? Do you think Arundhati observation can solve that problem? It cannot. Because all 4 or 5, 6 of us can explain Arundhati observation for the year we have claimed. Are you with me? Now, so this has nothing to do with observation. This is not even here. This has to follow with the Tarka Shastra, the deductive logic. Okay, what does that mean for us? Any other questions? By the way, yeah, take the microphone, please.
Those people who said year is 3000, their observations are in line with what we claim like 5000.
In line with?
When we say 5651 years.
Okay, so let me understand.
We claim, based on this AV observation, we say 5651. Those people who said it is 3000, they have some claims. Is that completely broken by AV?
Yes.
Or is that also comes in right with our observation?
No, it doesn't. No,
completely.
What this showed, just stick to this observation, what this showed is anyone claiming a year of Mahabharata war after 4508 BC, he, she, whoever has the onus to explain the Arundhati Vasishtha observation for their year, and they cannot. They cannot. Now, they may try saying, well, I don't want to go there right now, because we are going to cover that, multiple claims, someone said it, So, what do? So, the question you should ask is, suppose somebody says 3000 BC. Okay, guys, if you really get the stuff out of this, what is the punchline question that you would ask? If somebody says 3000 BC, 1400 BC, 1478 Professor Iyengar, 3067 Professor Achar, right? Take other name, Ananda Sharan 2030, 300, something like this. Who is this? Shrikant Talagiri, he has not done his own research, but around 1400 BCE. On and on. P.V. Hole is no longer there, 3143. Vedavir Arya, 3162 BCE. I am going to show you the whole list of it, Mohan Gupta, 1700, some another Bhatnagar, 1800 BCE. All these people, if you run into them, what is the question you would ask? How do you explain Arundhati Vasishtha observations for your year? If you understood that question, you understood the importance of this observation. Okay? So no, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Now, so if you were the researcher and you have come up with the 1500 BCE, now we have to do the debate, right? Now, what will be your argument? Just as one example, and then we'll move on to the next one. What will you argue?
I will explain the point, the supporting reasons why I claimed 1500.
Correct. No, that's true. But when I say, how do you explain Arundhati Vasishtha observation? What will you say? Truly think yourself, you are, what you call, cheering up for 1500 BCE. What will you say? Real human dynamics I am talking.
I am not able to explain.
No, you won't say that. You are stuck on your 100 BCE. What will you say? I am saying this is a real life, guys. This is what happens. And this is how happens in science. It's not any different. You have every reason to discount Arundhati Vasishtha observation. Yeah. अरे एक ऑब्जर्वेशन से क्या होता है वो छोड़ दो ना.
Yeah, I discount completely the AV.
Yeah. So or like yesterday I gave an example. Now Srikant Talagiri was a different context, but he said, this is not astronomy observation. This was happening it's a psychology in nature. It's happening in the mind of Vyasa. It's poetic. Now, so you asked that, for example. Now, how would I respond to it? I am asking you. So, if it is a poetic, okay, for a minute let's assume it's a poetic, then every astronomy observation which has this poetic thing should be also removed. The two cats in a butter and here it's down. So, that happens in a courtroom, is it not? If a certain type of evidence is not acceptable, all that kind of evidence has to be non-admissible. So the war would go on, But they would have used other astronomy evidence, and we will see that. We will see that in the evening. Okay? All right. Yes. Oh. Next session. Here. Okay. Now, is it a unique? Not quite. Not as unique as Arundhati Vasishtha observation. But in the afternoon, when we get into multidisciplinary evidence, I will show you some of the unique events. Not coming from astronomy, but from some other fields. Okay. Very, very unique. Very unique. As unique as it gets. Also remember, when you start putting the context, right? So, this particular type of evidence leads to this. This evidence leads to this, astronomy goes there, geology goes there, hydrology goes there, seismology goes there, oceanography goes there, genetics goes there. At some point you have to say, okay, I am at least 95% confidence I am convinced. Are you with me? Now, do you think there will be still some people who says, but I am not still convinced? Yeah, there will be. And what will we do with them? At some point you have to give up. You say, okay, the idea is not to convince everyone. Idea is to put your theory in the best possible way and leave it to others to decide. This is not about holding the gun to their head and says, now say yes. Okay, all right. Let's look at the, yeah. So ask a question, maybe that will help.
Ahead of Vasishtha, that is extraordinary point. And it's a very good clue for your this. But again, when has the situation reversed back again? Is there any?
When is what?
Vasishtha again coming back to the normal situation. So
after 4508. Today Vasishtha is ahead. After 4507, Vasishtha was ahead. 4508 they were together. 4507, Vasishtha is ahead, 6, 5, 4, 3. Until for last 6500, whatever the years, Vasishtha is ahead.
Since 4508?
Yeah. After 4508, they are together. 4507, Vasishtha is ahead.
So it means it kind of an event which was not observed till then. Then we had to basically start at the point at which it occurred, right? The event occurred.
Okay. So now what he's saying is, again, see this. So he's saying, for example, great point, nothing new. I call it FAQ, frequently asked questions, and that's a great question. See, again, I'm going to take a time cap here. We'll do it offline, because if I do it, I can assure you, I would love to answer that. You know, I have put my name on this, you know, so the whole my credibility is into this. So you can give me a benefit of doubt that I have considered every single angle, every single thing. We can do that. This happens in every talk that I give. How many of you have read at pragyata.com where like there is a back and forth, Professor Achar wrote one article, I responded, Professor Achar wrote again and I responded. Then he didn't respond again, so I stopped. Please read that. I mean, there are more than 30, 50 YouTube videos on YouTube, me talking about this, not just Arundhati Vasishtha, but there are those videos. My books are there. On the blog, I have written close to 500 blog articles. Okay, so I will just take a time cap, but I will ask, you know, I mean, I have done my work, now it is time to do the homework on your side. Go read at it, type, make a comments there, ask questions, and we will respond to that. The answer is there for everyone. So quickly, just to close that, what he's asking is, so Arundhati has gone ahead of Vasishtha beginning 11,091 BC, fair? So your point is, so Mahabharata, somebody should claim Mahabharata then. Why? Because is Vyasa saying, oh, Arundhati went ahead of Vasishtha? No, he is saying Arundhati is walking ahead of Vasishtha. When can Vyasa make that statement? He can make that statement anytime during those 6,500 years, right? But what you are attaching, and you are not alone, many people are saying that aha thing is in 11,091 BC, so you should claim it, okay? There is no logical argument for this. Yeah, of course, of course. But suppose somebody accepts, somebody makes that claim, yes. No, but what he's saying is just after 1191. So say 10,000 BC, for example. My point is, if someone thinks like that, suppose somebody else come up with a date for the Mahabharata in 10,000 BCE. Suppose you come up with that date. I would not argue with you that my date is correct and yours is wrong based on Arundhati Vasishtha observation. I will say check mark. Arundhati, good. We both are good. Let's shake hand there on that one. Now let's go to the next one, Bhishma Nirvana. How's that? Can we do Bhishma Nirvana? Okay, that will tell you why 10,000 is not the right one. So see, again, this is what he is doing. I mean, you are representing the case. What he is doing is a wonderful, I mean, in terms of question. This is a repeatedly asked the question, and I'm not saying because he's asking it, but the question is not coming, the question has nothing to do with the Arundhati, astronomy, nothing. The question has to do with the logic. Okay, so for example, he's saying it has to be immediate. And he has not said the next thing, maybe you don't know, but the people argue because this is given as a list of omens. Okay, list of omens. But see, the translation has these problems. I mean, if you say omen, now what happens? Omens is bad, right? Something like this. Do you know what is the Sanskrit word that is used in Mahabharata? Nimitta. Nimitta. Okay, sign. So you may translate that also, well, this is the translation problem. You can translate as a omen and suddenly, oh, it's a dangerous, no. Or it's a sign. All that he is describing is what he's seen. When you do the puja, don't you say, Bharata Varshe, Bharata Khande, Jambudvipe? You know, there is no sense of some awe or something eureka about that. You are simply stating, it is a Bharata Khande, Chaitra, Shukla, Panchami, this Vatsare, this Murte, and we are doing it. Why you are doing it? To stamp it, when exactly you are doing the puja. Vyasa says, I am going to record this history, don't worry, to Dhritarashtra. And he is recording in his own ways. Your question?
Yeah, again, because that passage is been quoted, so it kind of feels like it's trying to say like there are certain events which have happened, which is doesn't seem to be very good or not conducive to you. So
very good of?
Which is not conducive to you. So he's trying to state a set of conditions.
Yes, yes.
So now when he says like if this event has been occurring for around 6,000 events, so it's a huge span, right? 11,000 to 4,000, so around the 7,000 year span for which Arundhati has been walking ahead of Vasishtha. So it's kind of a normal. So
yes.
What is the need for him to state?
Good question. See, again, I mean, this is a wonderful discussion. Only thing we have, I'll answer that and I'll cut it. So at least I want to convince you that I can answer. Therefore, I'm not running away from the questions. But the point is this can go on. Arundhati Vasishtha can go on until whatever, the third day. So what he's asking is, this is given as a something special, like Vyasa is saying something special is happening, right, to sort of create that fear, if you want to call it, in the mind of Dhritarashtra. Okay, so it has to be like something special, not like a ordinary common phenomenon that is going on for 6,000 years. Fair? Did I understand your question? Well, do you know something? In that list that Vyasa is stating to Dhritarashtra, supposedly to fear, not my theory, it is your theory and there is some truth in it. Vyasa is listing so many astronomy observations which are extremely normal. Okay, just extremely normal. Savvatsarasthainancho graha prajulito vivo vishakha samipasto brahaspati shanashchara shukram proshtapade purve samarya vishambate uttare tu parikramya sahita pratyadikshite. This thing is happening every 2, 3, 4, 5 years. What is big deal about that? So that kills that argument. If you, I mean, just for a discussion purpose. No, of course, but do you understand that? This is just one. My whole argument is not on the one observation. But when we talk of decisive evidence, this kills that next thing. You know, but people will of course argue. Okay, so the next evidence that you want to talk about, and you know, when Ashwini intervenes, you know, many times what I find is when she says it, okay, I want to do the roundabout way because in a very methodical what I think. Now when she says it, people understand. You know, so maybe next time, you know, she should stand and just do it. And actually that happens many times. But she, maybe the accounting background, I don't know, you know, the balance A equal to S plus B is guys done. Let's go home, you know, trial balance, something like this, okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah, the gap is huge, but his points are very good, but they are driven by a different interpretation, like it's a Omen interpretation and so on and so forth. Again, but you understand my point? If you have a 10,000 BC,
it kind of what doctors also do. So if you go and report a doctor sheet, so what is stated that may be good for you, may not be good for you, but it depends on the way he states it and in what context. If somebody says your blood pressure is 70 by 110, it's perfectly normal. But then if you are trying to say, it's said in the context where a doctor is trying to scare you that something is gone wrong for you, then a statement which is like perfectly normal, perfectly good also for you, then in that context it seems that he's trying to say a fact which is...
Yes, yeah. And so if somebody wants 10,000 BC, I'm saying be my guest, I want more dates into the Arundhati Vasishtha domain, you know. Okay. So Bhishma Nirvana, again the evidence of Bhishma Nirvana also leads you to that 6 millennium BC, okay, 55-16 BC. So now some of you may know this, so it seems like, you know, some you have studied well. How many days Bhishma was on the bed of arrows? Anyone has heard the names, heard the number somewhere? You have? How many days Bhishma was on the bed of arrows? There is a number that floats around in a very common way. Huh? 50 days, somewhere around 50 days. 54. Around 60? Okay, 54, sorry, 50, 54, 60, you're close. The number that floats around, okay, is a 58 days. 58. And you know, please, I will encourage you to listen to many of my YouTube talks. This is discussed at length. This number comes from Nilkantha Chaturdhar, around 17th century, okay. I'll not go into why it comes, what it came and something like that. He looked at one observation. See, nobody has done anything on Mahabharata for a long time. He's the first one after a long time trying to do it. Now, do you know the story of Newton when he had a cat and a cat's baby, you know, kitten, and he created two holes, one big and one small, for each big cat and a baby cat to go through? You understand the fun of that, right? One hole would have been sufficient, yeah? It's something like that. So he's just looking at so much evidence. Even I would have missed it, you know, something like that. But what you will find is actually that 58 is not true. There is one reference. Again, just like we talked simply Arundhati Vasishtha, once somewhere Bhishma says, you know what, I'm lying on this bed of arrows for 58 days and those 58 days felt like hundreds of years. That is the one, Ashtapancha Shatam Ratriam Shayanasyad Megata, you know, something that's what he's saying. 58 days, he's saying, I'm lying on the bed for 58 days and it felt like hundreds of years. Now, how would you interpret that? You can interpret it in 1,000 different ways. One is the total duration Bhishma is lying is 58 years, 58 days. But the another one is he's referring to the 58 days. Doesn't mean necessarily the total duration was 58 days. Mahabharata evidence has a lot more to say. That is just one observation. And it has interpreted. So 10th day of the war, everyone knows war lasted for 18 days. The first day it began, Bhishma fought for 10 days. 10th day he fell down. Okay, people thought he is gone. Those of you who read Mahabharata, and they say, oh, Bhishma is gone. And Bhishma says, no, 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 I am not gone. I am still here. He says that. And he looks at it and he says the sun is still in the south, is not turned north, you know, the Dakshinayan. And he says, I am not going until Uttarayan with the Siddhi and all of that. Okay. Now what happens, like somebody asked me where the Jain Naradikar comes. Not Jain Naradikar, but somebody else comes, and instead of understanding this chronology, they will say, oh, but actually it happened. Shil Patel, you know, he knows. When I gave a talk in Surat, this one person, and this is very important, why we don't get into the block. Now you will laugh at it, but he wasn't laughing. He asked me, the person lasting for 92 days, it is totally illogical. I said, have you heard of stories, people in coma for many years? But because he was into that block, for the rest of the 2 hours, he couldn't understand a word of what else was said. He was just still going into that circles. Okay. So 10th day of the war, Bhishma fell down. Yeah. And then he was on the bed of arrows until the day of winter solstice. Everyone agree in agreement with that? Now let's look at the Mahabharata evidence. The war lasted for additional 9 days. Yeah. So Bhishma, by the time the war was over, 10th day to 18th day, Bhishma was already on the bed of arrows for 9 days. Okay. Then you know what happened? The Ashwatthama went at night and killed it. Next day they humbled Ashwatthama. Then they made the fire rites for all the dead warriors. Okay. This is 1 extra day, 2 days. Let's ignore that. Just keep it no days. Then Mahabharata tells us that Yudhishthir, Pandavas, Dhritarashtra, everyone, Gandhari, they left for the bank of Ganga. Okay, so if you start the Shanti Parva, the very first 2 verses, he said they, Ashaucha, they were, you know, just after the death in the families. So they were on the bank of Ganga for 1 month. Masam Ekam Bahi Purat, outside Hastinapur. Shanti Parva 1.12. So they lived there for a month. Now because the common claim is for a 58 days, I am going deliberately very conservative. So people don't think I am somehow exaggerating the numbers. So after 9 days, the 2-3 days I ignored it, right, the whole time. Then the month long, Mahabharata says month. So I can take 27, I can take 29, or I can take 30 or 31. As a conservative, I am taking 27. You follow what I am doing? Because my number versus 58, that's what we are playing here. So I am giving a benefit of doubt to the other side as much as I can. So after a month, they returned to Hastinapur. Okay. Now what happened is, we don't know this duration exactly how long they were there. We definitely know that they at least spent 1 night. That reference is there in Mahabharata. But it could be more, we don't know, let's call it X. During this time what happened? Yudhishthir was coronated as a king. Yudhishthir assigned different duties to many of his brothers and others. He assigned palaces. He paid compensation to many of the people who have lost their relatives in the war. And he honored Krishna. Okay, so just at least a day, and we definitely know it was a day. That is the time when Krishna reminded Yudhishthir that we must go and see Bhishma. Bhishma is waiting for you. So Yudhishthir agrees. They get on the chariots. Okay, and you'll see that in my first book, but you can also read very detailed, just the whole book dedicated to Bhishma Nirvan, the one that will come out very soon. And so they went to the Kurukshetra to meet the Bhishma. And this is the day when they met. Krishna tells Bhishma that Bhishma has 56 more days to live. Panchashatam Shatcha Kuru Pravira Shesham Dinanam Tava Jivitasya. Now he has 56 more days to live. So now do the addition here. Any questions so far? If I have tricked you somewhere. 9 plus 27 plus x plus 56, 92 plus x days, minimum of 92, that is the language. Minimum of 92, definitely more than 92, we don't know how many. So 58 doesn't cut. So somebody says 58, and there is one reference, as I said, Ashtapanchashatam Ratriyam Shayanasyaddame Gata. We have to ask, how do you interpret or how do you explain this whole, and you'll see in my book. How many of you understand regression? How many of you have done mathematical regression? Stepwise regression. Okay, you remove one data point and see the effect. you can take any of these 23 or 66 references in the context of Bhishma Nirvana. You can randomly take any reference out. It will still lead you to 92 days. But if you take 58 days out, then nothing is left for the other side. You follow what I am saying? In fact, I make a very bold statement. Anyone, and there are many, in fact 99.99% of Mahabharata researchers claim the duration of Bhishma on the bed of arrows is 58 days. 99.99%. And I am willing to say, of course many of would have read it, if they claim that, I am confident that they have not bothered to read the Mahabharata carefully. There are set of 6 references that will take you to 92. If you raise some objection, then there is a set of 23 references that will take you to 92. If you raise some further, some soft, foolish objections, there are 66 set of references that will take you to 92. How can you miss those? But what I am saying, I am not blaming them, but I am talking about the level of research that is happening in our Indian narration, Indian civilization, about Indian civilization, the quality of research. Like somebody asked me, we were at Harvard there, and I was talking, how many of you have heard the name Witzel, Michael Witzel? Yeah. So the guy I was talking to, that Ashwini and I met, he works in genetics, and so I wanted to find out, what is his connection with Witzel, and I knew there would be, because all the arguments are not coming from genetics, they are coming from linguistics. So I said something about Witzel, and I had sent a book to Witzel. So he said, oh, I'm going to meet him next week. I said, when you meet him, please ask him, he had a chance to read my book that I sent him in 2011. Of course, I was making it as a fun. But so he said, what do you think of Professor R.N. Iyengar? Now, he likes, not likes, but he's okay with Professor Iyengar date. Can you tell me why? You should be able to tell me why. Because it's 1478 BC, still kind of, he can keep his Aryan invasion and leave it. Okay. So I told him, I said, I mean, not take specific names, but I'm talking 99%, 95% of Mahabharata researchers. I said, it's our luck, not his, because he may not be on our side, I don't know, it doesn't matter. I said, we are lucky that likes of Witzel don't understand astronomy. This is the language I used. If they understood astronomy, they would eat these 95% of researchers that we are talking raw for breakfast. That is the language I used. So what I'm telling you here is some kind of a pathetic type of research that we have done. Now, I'm not throwing the baby with the bathwater, don't get me wrong. For example, Professor R.N. Iyengar and we communicate, he has done a lot of good work. I'm not questioning that. I'm not talking about the person Professor Iyengar, I'm talking of his specific research. So please bear that in mind. Professor Achar, we have met together at the conference, we have eaten together, we have a photo together, we might meet again, that's besides the point, right? So I want you to understand that don't confuse the person with the theory or whatever we are discussing. Question? No. Okay. So this is 92 days, and then this 56 days can also, there is additional evidence, Mahabharata evidence. This 56 days can also be split. There is sufficient evidence in Mahabharata that Yudhishthir Bhishma Samvad that occurred for 6 days. You can see Bhishma, they discuss during the day, Yudhishthir comes home to Hastinapur at night. Next day again he goes back in the morning, comes home. Another day he goes back, every day slightly different. First day he goes with the soldiers and many others. Next day the only 5 Pandavas and Satyaki and Krishna only go, and so on. The last day, the 6th day, again the whole entourage goes, including Dhritarashtra, Gandhari. That is the day when Vishnu Sahasranam was recited by Bhishma. And that is when Vyasa tells Bhishma that now Yudhishthir is calm. Okay, we talked about Yudhishthir as a favorite. Yudhishthir just goes hyper every single minute, something happens, Yudhishthir, oh, I'm leaving the kingdom and just walking away, and then somebody has to come and calm him down, please, that's what Mahabharata story is. Anyways, that's a side subject. So now Vyasa says, now Yudhishthir is become calm, okay, he can go back, and Bhishma says, okay, so please go back and only return when the day of winter solstice, Uttarayan. So he goes back. So those are 6 days. So there is a description for 6 days. To support that it was a 6 days. Then Yudhishthir went back to Hastinapur, and the reference comes that it says then he stayed in Hastinapur for 50 nights before returning to Kurukshetra. So you see the math there, 6 plus 50 and so on. So there is that additional evidence also. That's why it adds up to like 60 plus evidence. So that's the day of Vishnu Sahasranam, 50 days, and that's that. Now, how do we objectively test it? There are three statements, three assertions, okay? The first one is Bhishma was on the bed of arrows for more than 92 days. You're with me? Any objections to that, by the way? I mean, you have to take me on leap of faith that I'm not faking up and the references are there to support it, that's there, okay? The first statement. The second one is earliest tithi Bhishma fell in the battle is Margashirsha Shukla Navami. Now, I'll quickly tell you how I came up with it. So, you get the methodology. Remember we talked about the Kartik Purnima? So, definitely Kartik Purnima has passed away. When Dhritarashtra and Vyasa are discussing, Vyasa refers to, actually our guest yesterday referred to that verse, by the way. Like, when he referred to the rain of blood and meat and something like that. The Vyasa refers to this, it says the Krishna Chaturdashi, there was a rain of blood and stuff like that. Now, I don't want you to digress how the blood and forget that, just rain, just assume there was a rain. But important point is Krishna Chaturdashi. So, Purnima has already gone by and this is also referring to Krishna Chaturdashi. So, which means what? Krishna is a Vadya Chaturdashi, Chaturdashi 14. Help me. Kartik is over. Are you with me? No? Kartik Purnima has gone by and also Krishna Chaturdashi has gone by. So, Kartik is over. So, the earliest day, the first day of the war could be what? The Amavasya now? The next day? Kartik Amavasya. Earliest possible. It can be afterwards, but earliest possible is Kartik Amavasya. If that is the day, first day of the war, and if Bhishma fell in the battle on the 10th day of the war, the earliest possible tithi for Bhishma to fall in the battle is Margashirsha Shukla 9. That is how we do the research, by the way. I mean, that's how we go step by step. Okay? The last one, the major portion of the 18 days long Mahabharata war took place during the Margashirsha Shukla Paksha. Actually, I gave the explanation yesterday. Went through the phases of the moon for those days and also the positions of the moon, full moon positions. Okay? So, that's also telling me it is Margashirsha Shukla Paksha. Based on this, we can draw three inferences. So, what you can look at this as a information or knowledge. We have taken information, turn it into a knowledge, turn it into some insight. The insight being Margashirsha Shukla 9 is the earliest possible date and so on. Okay. Now, from that we are drawing the inferences here. You follow? How follow this? So, first inference is that assertion 1 leads to the inference. The first statement leads to the inference that at least 66%, that is 12 out of 18 days of the Mahabharata war, took place during the first half of Sharat season. Long statement, but I want you to understand it. Who can explain? He will get a chocolate bag. The first statement here is leading to this conclusion that 66% of the Mahabharata war, 12 days out of 18 days, happened during the first half of Sharat season. How many months in a season? Any season? 2. Everyone, I want to make sure everyone on the same page. 6 seasons and 2. Okay. There are many seasons. That's another course. Okay. 3 seasons, 5 seasons, and so on. We are going to stick with 6. That is what Mahabharata says. All seasons are described. So it happened in the first half, in the first month of Sharat season. Who want to explain? Okay. Okay. All right. When did Bhishma passed away? Uttarayan, day of winter solstice, 21st December, not 21st December, approximately, meaning whatever was 21st December then, you follow? No, December. The calendar didn't exist, so that's why the 21st December is a problem. But the winter solstice, the day of winter solstice, yeah? Agree? Uttarayan is the day of winter solstice. That's when the sun turns north. You have something different in mind? No, forget Makar Sankranti. That's a traditional one. Because we should have made that's what we talked in the morning. Correction has not happened. But because 2000 years ago, 1700 years ago, yes. No, that is also solar event. It was the case 1700 years ago. when the sun entered Capricorn, that happened to coincide with the winter solstice. That was 1700 years ago, no longer true. You know, just for this discussion, forget Makar Sankrant, forget 14 January, no, it doesn't exist. The day of winter solstice, very important. Even 21st December can confuse some, because that calendar is not there. Day of winter solstice. Now, Hemanta Rutu, how many of you understand when does the Hemanta Rutu end? When does Hemanta Rutu end? No, on winter solstice. Hemanta Rutu ends on the day of winter solstice. And then the Shishir Rutu begins, the winter begins. If you don't know it, trust me that is the case. You can verify afterwards. Go to Google, okay, Wikipedia. So from the day of winter solstice, I am going backwards by 2 months. Stay with me. 60 days. Now the Hemanta Rutu is over, meaning backwards, going backwards. Now I am going to go additional 30 days. Now the second month of Sharad Rutu is over. You follow what I am doing? Here, okay. So this is winter solstice. I am coming here 2 months. So Hemanta Rutu is gone. I am going backwards. Then another month here. Sorry, actually here. Another month. This is of a Sharad season, and this is all Sharad season. Yeah, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. So 60 days are gone backwards. Hemanta Rutu is gone. Additional 30 days. Second month of Sharad season is gone. How many days are gone? 90. How many days I need to go? 92. Because from the day Bhishma fell to the time the Bhishma Nirvana, minimum 92 days. It could be more, but just as a limiting case, 92 days. So at least 2 days. So this is 90. I still have 2 more days. So at least 2 days into the first month of Sharad season. Are you with me? And that day was the 10th day of the war. So those 2 days plus 10 more backwards. So minimum I can definitely say that the 12 days out of the 18 days of the war happened during the first part of Sharad season. Yes? Very important. Anyone has a question about that? If not, I am just going to ask you to take a leap of faith. It's a simple mathematical calculation. Season. This one? Yeah. And as I skipped some of these because I was trying to fit into the 2 days, you know. So what happens is, I mean, I have the whole slides, like 60 slides on the seasons. Okay. Who? Yeah. Who wants? Yeah. So Vasanta, who wants to give me the order? Because okay. Next, what is the next Rutu after Vasanta? Grishma. Very good. Okay. Grishma. What is the next? Okay. Let's see if you say faster or I write faster. Very good. You are doing a good job. Very nice, Shishir. Okay. Yeah. No, this is very good. Thank you, Ashwini, Arundhati ji. So Shishir. Okay. All right. So the intersection of Hemanta and Shishir is the winter solstice. So I go back here. This is my 60 days. If the Hemant is gone, I go halfway through the Sharad. That's additional 30 days, and then I go 2 days. This is when Bhishma fell down. BF. Okay. And then I have to go at least 10 more days in the backward because Bhishma fell on the 10th day. So based on that, I am saying 66% of the 18 days of the war occurred during the first half of Sharad season. Yeah. You have to say it loudly. Yeah. No, not really. You see. You are saying. Correct. Yeah. Because we have lost the connection with the lunar months. We go by the days, right? Something else. When does Margashirsha fall right now? No. When does Margashirsha fall these days? Month of Margashirsha. We did it in the morning. In December. right? In December, which is what? Forget December, around winter solstice. What are we saying here? I'm going to bring it together, so stay with me. So, everyone good on this first inference? Okay. If we combine assertion 1 and 2, it leads me to the conclusion. I can use inference, I can use a conclusion, okay, or a prediction if you want to use, that the lunar tithi of Bhishma Nirvana can only be after Falgun Shukla 12, and I have given the explanation there. So, if the earliest tithi possible is Margashirsha Shukla Nomi, and Bhishma was on the bed of arrows for at least 92 days, I can estimate the earliest tithi for Bhishma Nirvana. Start with Margash. Are you with me? It's very important. The earliest possible. It doesn't have to be Margashirsha Shukla 9, but I am saying earliest possible is Margashirsha Shukla 9. It cannot be Margashirsha Shukla Ashtami. We are taking a limiting case. So, Margashirsha Shukla 9, start counting the tithis for next 92 tithis. The tithi that comes out is Margashirsha Shukla 12. So, we are saying the lunar tithi cannot be, can only be after Falgun Shukla 12. Why after? Because it's 92 or more. Everyone follows? Okay, so we are just doing the tithi of each mahina. So, see, looks like very innocent, right? These are simple statements, simple chronological addition, no astronomy involved so far. We are just using the knowledge of the seasons, that's our agama, the background knowledge, authorized knowledge, and we are just making these inferences, and you see what happens in a minute. The third assertion is that if we combine 1 and 3, that was your question, okay? So, here said at least 92 days, and the 3 said it was a Margashirsha Shukla Paksha. You understood how we came to this one before, okay? Now combine the two. What is this telling me? That the first part of Sharat season. Pay attention, guys. This is the aha moment, okay? You are very close to the aha moment. This is the first part of the Sharat season, okay? And it was a Margashirsha Shukla Paksha. You combine this, it's telling you that the lunar month of Margashirsha occurred during the first part of the Sharat season at the time of Mahābhārata War. Everyone understand how I combine 1 and 3? The number 3 told me Margashirsha Shukla Paksha, the first one 92, so first part of Sharat season combined. Margashirsha month or Margashirsha Shukla Paksha month, just take month for now, occurred during the first part of Sharat season. Let's do a crude calculation. Right now, approximately speaking, Margashirsha is during the winter solstice. I am saying there, best not me, Mahabharata is saying there, Margashirsha was during the first part of Sharat season. So, let's count that as that instance, whatever. How long that lasted? Anyone? Margashirsha as the first part of Sharat season, how long that would last? 2000 years. Remember what we did in the morning? Then it shifted, became a second part of the Sharat season, another 2000 years. Follow? Then it shifted and become the first month of the Hemant season, 2000 years, and now it has shifted to the last part of the Hemanta season. That's kind of going on for say 2000 years, or might be still going on, part of this. So, I did it 4 times, 2, 2, 2, 2, that's 8000 years approximately. So, Mahabharata happened approximately 8000 years ago. This is no Arundhati here. Now, what is Arundhati saying? It definitely happened more than 6000 years ago. This is saying it happened approximately 8000 years ago. Yeah, this one is bringing me here, this one is bringing me here. Okay, so now if I combine this, the Bhishma on the bed of arrows for this plus the Tithi, okay, what I just said. So that I just already gave you. Now the first part, just based on the Tithi, okay. Now this is bit leap of faith, okay, guys. Right now, the day of winter solstice, do you know how it occurs? It occurs sometime, anyone knows the Tithi of winter solstice? If not, it occurs sometime from Margashirsha Shukla 10 to Pausha Shukla 9. The current, if you go last 20 years and look for the day of 21st December or 22nd and find out the Tithi, the month and a Tithi, it will definitely fall somewhere between Margashirsha Shukla 9 or 10 to Pausha Shukla 9 or 10. It's a month. And you understand why it changes. Because there is a gap of 9 or 10 days between the lunar month and a solar month. So 21st December is fixed. but your tithi is going to move by 10 days, another 10 days next year, another 10 days, then you fix it with a adhik mas, extra, and then it comes back. So it's going to go like this, within that range. Okay? So when you combine this, you can actually find out this, we know that this is Falgun Shukla 12. So in our times, the tithi is between what? Margashirsha Shukla 9 to Paush Shukla 9. Take the half of it. Where is that? Say Margashirsha Vadya 7 or something like that. I'm just picking a number halfway. So take that Margashirsha Vadya 7. This is another way of doing a calculation. We have to go backwards until we get the median tithi of Falgun Shukla 12. Vadya is, I can use the word Krishna, no problem. See, this is all true. No, this is a fun. When I say Krishna, then they say Vadya. Yes. And this is not only the problem in India, this happens in USA too. You know, if I go to Boston area and I say robust, they say, what is that? I say robust. Oh, we understand. I go to Texas, I say robust, they say, what are you saying? And I write it down. Oh, robust. You know, so people say things in different way. You know? Okay. So from Margashirsha Vadya 7, I have to go shift the tithi all the way to Falgun Shukla 12. What is the logic of it? If you did this 26,000 year calculation, okay, and we have got approximately 360 days or 365 days. If you do the math, you divide this number by that, it comes to 72. So every 72 years, the day, tithi, anything shifts by 1 day. Every 72 years. It doesn't happen on English calendar because they have fixed it in a different way. But remember the month is shifting with the season? It's something like that. Okay, so shifts by every 72 years, it shifts by 1 day. Huh? Let's skip it because that will take a long time. Okay, so just 72 is, 72 is a magic astronomy number. There are 10, there are 20 different ways of arriving, just like a pi. You can arrive 1 plus 1 over n to the power n limit, remember? You can arrive many ways. Just keep that 72, because just for the time sake, Okay. So now if I combine this, so what I'm combining now, remember remember those morning, our Mrugashirsha standing there. So right now we see the Mrugashirsha here, okay, the full moon of Mrugashirsha at the winter solstice there. But if you go backwards and you want to find out the full moon of Margashirsha matching with the first month of Sharat season using the precession of equinoxes, although I am showing on this one, going backwards, the mean year will come 5642 BCE. I am using a simple calculation, guys. 2000 years I shift by 1 month, 2000 years shift by 1 month. But you can exactly mathematically calculate the mean position based on a Yogatara and whatnot. Any questions? Yeah. Explain again. Okay. So right now, when on the day of winter solstice, if it happens to be the full moon, 2010, if you go year 2010, look at the day of winter solstice. It was also a full moon day and it was a Margashirsha Purnima. So what was happening? That day, the Margashirsha Mruga Nakshatra was exactly opposite to the sun, right? So that means the month of Margashirsha coincided with the winter solstice. Based on what we just did, we are telling that during the Mahabharata time, the month of Margashirsha coincided with the first half of Sharat season. Everyone remembers? So in order to do that, I have to shift this through the precision of equinoxes. That comes out the calculation 5642 BCE as a mean year. Good? Okay. So now how did I do it? Yesterday, I think I'm missing that person who said Purnamanta and is there a difference? Yeah, and we talked 15-day difference. And then what did I say? The 15-day, but it will lead to a variation of 1000 year plus minus. So that 5642 is what I did, but then I added to that error of plus minus 1000 years. That error of plus minus 1000 years is not due to Purnimanta or Amanta. Okay, it has to do with the middle tithi, because remember, Right now, what do I say? The tithi of the winter solstice moves from Margashirsha Shukla 9 to Paush Shukla 9. So there is a variation of up to 30 days. So I am counting for that, taking the central point, and I am saying plus minus 15 days. Are you with me? And calculating that error, 15 days, 1000 years, 1000 years. Based on that, therefore, I am being very generous, deliberately generous, you understand? Actual calculation, do you know what it is? Actual calculation is 4700 to 7000 BCE. The actual mathematical number comes out is 7000 BCE to 4700 BCE. But just to be doubly sure, I give that error and say, you know what, even if you add that error, no need really, okay? But even if you add that error, it's 3700 to 8000 BCE. Not a day before, not a day after. It is that solid calculation. So just like Arundhati gave me the range, 4500 BC, this particular calculation is giving me this range. Very, very solid, okay? Now the second one, the same information, but if I added this, remember, what was the inference? This meant the Margashirsha occurred during the first part of the Sharad season. If I do this, okay, so the first one I did it that Margashirsha occurred somewhere here, okay, just somewhere here. Now I am saying if I do a further, you know, this is called sensitivity analysis. How many of you have done that? Further fine tuning, okay. If I did that, I don't need to, but because it can be done, you know. So actually you will get even the year 6205. Again, I will apply the correction of plus minus 1000 and so on. If I do it, I get this time bracket.
Nilesh, can I say one thing maybe to simplify? See, I don't know, principally because of the precision of equinox, the nakshatra which appears to be behind the sun on the same day every year changes slightly. That is the principle.
Yeah.
Because of which all these calculations change. So for example, just 1 minute, for simple, because I feel this is something which is not so simple. I have tried to understand it very simply. So Mrigasira was standing here, Mrigashirsha was standing here, there was sun here. Now suppose in December this is Mrigashira, every 27 years this nakshatra will
72,
every 72 years this nakshatra will be different if you see it from the earth behind the sun.
Yeah.
That is the basic principle.
Yeah, but hold on, now don't say, so just to add to that, every 72 years, not the nakshatra would be different, but the position of the nakshatra would move by 1 degree.
So if Mrigashira is here, it will be here after 72
another
years.
72 years, another 72 years.
And that is why this is all because of precision of Earth's axis. And that is the reason all these calculations happen.
Okay. Now see, thank you. So for example, when I wrote that first book, okay, and one of a very great professor right there in Atlanta, when he read it, he's a American guy, and he said, you know, why did you sandwich everything into that book? He said, this could be 10 books, or he said 5 PhD theses. So when he said not only 5 PhD theses, there would be 5 award-winning PhD theses. Why did you combine this into one? And I said, I wasn't sure if I was going to survive this. Okay, I wasn't sure I was going to write this one book. I wasn't sure if I ever was going to write anything else. This was not any planned or anything like this. So I said, let me just do it. Who knows if I will ever do anything afterwards. Okay, the reason I'm mentioning that is, it's a bit intense. Like if you don't understand some of the things, take some of the things on the leap of faith. They will come to you. There are many readers who write me, they say they have read this book, say Mahabharata or doesn't matter, 20 times and 30 times. And they say every time I get a new insight. Forget about them. I read my own books. Now you may call me narcissist. Okay, I read my own book and actually I get insights. I'm telling you the truth. So even if you decide to read it, don't just think suddenly you will get it. No, one reading you are going to get something, another reading you will get another thing. You will also feel like, oh, how come I missed this last time? With your knowledge grows, you will understand more. Yeah.
Our understanding is that Mahābhārata is the second half of human history.
Yes.
And during the time of Mahabharata, the first half of the third season. Who is the timekeeper who keeps track of?
Who is the timekeeper? Who? See, you are asking, I mean, something equivalent to that. Who hid that bone of the dinosaur down there at 72 meters in Arizona? Okay, we are lucky. Daivam Chaivatra Panchamam. Adhishtanam tatha karta karanam cha pratak vidam vividhascha pratak cheshta Daivam Chaivatra Panchamam. You have a goal, Adhishtan, Prayojan, tatha karta yourself, Adhishtanam tatha karta karanam cha pratak vidam. Various tools. Yeah, various tools that you have to learn. Okay, let me learn astronomy, let me learn this, let me learn mathematics. Vividhascha pratak cheshta. Then you have to try different, not just astronomy. Don't put all the eggs in one basket. Daivam Chaivatra Panchamam. 20% luck.
We have the seasons that we have, that is because of the Earth's axis. The Earth is tilted out. That is what causes all the seasons. Now, if there is a change in axis, then the occurrence of the seasons will also have, not only the nakshatras, even the seasons would shift, right?
They are shifting. That is with respect to the lunar month. I showed you in the morning why the month of Margashirsha, which is a winter now, will become a month of the summer. Do you have something else? Speak into it, because otherwise, I mean, I'm just getting few words out of you and
Yeah, so
trying
what
to
I'm
make
trying
sense.
to say is, if you have a reference, so because the axis is changing, so as we said, like in this summer and winter also change. So now we have like
Now
say,
no, let me stop you there. The summer and winter don't change. The relative lunar month with them.
no, it is. So if you like just if I go back to what she said, so like if you take with respect to solar calendar, so we have winter which is occurring in December. Now because of the precision, there will be a time where summer occurs in December. So
Okay.
the time.
Yeah, stop you. No, that's a good question. See, you have to separate the Gregorian calendar from what is happening there. We use Gregorian calendar because it serves us as a wonderful reference calendar. Are you with me? In fact, there is a other argument I get, and again, it's not about you. Just another argument I get. People say purist. I call them purist. Nilesh, why in the world you use the Western calendar? Okay, I said, okay, what is your objection? Well, use Indian solar calendar. Okay, help me where it is. Oh, there are these months. Taittiriya Samvita. What are those months? Madhu, Madhav, Shachi, all those Parjanya, all those 12 months of there. Okay, I said, where is the calendar? Where did it start? I'm just using that as a point. So it's easy to say it, but they haven't seen the problem. It's not different than someone giving me Jyeshta Shukla 12 and now tell me the birth year of Harsha. I'll come back to that. I have not understood your argument. So take the solar calendar out. Solar calendar is a reference calendar.
To give a reference.
No, let's say whatever based on your argument, what you think would have happened. So where I would go wrong if whatever you are saying is true.
It's because you're relating the month and the season. So if both are shifting, there might be a difference in the calculation which might have occurred. So for example, like one of the contestants that I argue, some of the people that says
let me stop you, because that's not correct what you said. See, what he said, I mean, in a colloquial language we say that. So what he said is the season and months are shifting. Are they really? No, only one of them is shifting. It's a relative shift we are talking. So you cannot shift both. You say the season is season. Summer is always feels like a summer, winter feels like a winter.
Okay, but the time in which the seasons occurs, they are shifting, right?
No. So let's take a cap. So you're somewhere there is a missing. We take it offline. We may able to clarify that. Okay, both are not shifting. I mean, for example, the calculations that I showed here, none of again back to this. See, because of some misunderstanding that may be happening. But so for example, assuming that's not the case, but assuming you are on the other side, some say Professor Achar, let's take it like this. So you can take it to say Professor Iyengar, you can take it to, no, don't take it to Achar, I mean, if you go to Professor Iyengar and say, can you show me the problem with this calculation? Someone who is not necessarily on my side. And they may say, well, there's no problem with this calculation. There is a lot of wrong with Nilesh, but no problem here. I'm just joking, but you understand what I'm saying? So these particular things, there is no question as to their authenticity. They can be verified. Just take it on a leap of faith right now. So 21st, say for example, 21st December, if somebody starts questioning, we will not able to do anything with it. It's like that, okay? But you may have something, and I don't want to discount that, because frankly, what happens? Anytime someone does something like this, that might lead to a revolution. So for example, what is the role he's playing? In a way, he's playing the role of a skeptic. Fair? The skeptic to my theory. So this is, I don't have a curve, but you remember Tamasic skepticism at the bottom? When you take something in that bracket, like Pushpak Viman, Draupadi's saris, whatever it is, you work on it, perseverance, Adhishtanam tatha karta karnam cha pratak vidam vividascha pratak cheshta and daivam chaivatra panchamam, you take it from here and take it to that upper right hand corner. You make a revolution. Arundhati is a revolution, Bhishma Nirvana is a revolution, Einstein's is a revolution, Newton's is a revolution. When people ask me, so can you summarize what have you done? Like Mahabharata or Ramayana. And I tell them what Newton and Einstein and Kepler and Lagrange did to cosmology, I have done to Mahabharata and Ramayana. Just as a summarizing the point. Okay, so if we can do offline. Something skeptically you find, in fact, think of Arundhati Vasishta. Until I figured it out, where was it sitting? In that skepticism bracket. This is impossible in the very order of nature. This cannot happen. What is Vyasa talking? Vyasa doesn't have sense. That's what people were saying. Sauti must have inserted it something. The day I could show that actually Arundhati does walk ahead of Vasishta, something changed from a skepticism all the way into revolution. Do you follow? It's the same thing for Bhishma Nirvana and so on. We are at 1 o'clock, right? We are going to stop at 1. Okay, give me a few minutes. Okay. So now we are going to, when we come back, we will get into planetary evidence. Okay. Now this is another area, another area. So while you have your wonderful lunch, think through it. Just want to give you something to think. TRIZ, T-R-I-Z. How many of you have heard this before? T-R-I-Z. You have? Anyone else? No? It is a Russian way of solving complex problems. Okay, just want to give you quick examples to food for thought, literally, okay, as you go for lunch. Suppose we have these existing cars and someone wants to devise a car which takes the same amount of people, everything same, but is way more efficient. Okay, doesn't use that much petrol, but goes longer distance. What will you do? What are some of the changes you will do? Stun? Okay, so we have cars right now. Okay, now we have a problem, the petrol problem. So we want to go longer distance without compromising our space, without compromising how many people we can carry, but go longer distance. What can we modify? Right, how would you reduce the weight? So you might go for a carbon fiber, for example. Yeah, right, which means making it thinner, we start exercising so we are lighter, doesn't work, right? I mean that is limitation. So we go for a carbon fiber, something revolutionary, right? So that is called TRIZ, meaning the existing paradigm is not going to solve the problem. You have to think of a revolutionary solution. Suppose the boats were there before, right? The boats were fastest way of going around before the aeroplanes. People said, what can I do different? What can I do different? How can I make the boat go faster? But there is a limit how fast the boat can go at some point. So what did they think? Well, instead of the jahaj, let's do the Hawaii jahaj. Something, right? That's why, in the Hindi you hear the word Hawaii jahaj and all that. Port. The port has come from the seaport to the airport, right? So suddenly they change, instead of going through the fluid called water, let's go through the fluid called air. So suddenly total different paradigm shift, okay? That is, when it is required, you have conflicting things that you are working against and their easy solution is not coming. That kind of logic, that kind of understanding, that kind of creativity is required when we look at the planetary evidence from the Mahabharata. Okay, alright. Let's have our lunch. What time we come back? 2:30? 2:15. We are back. Please hold on. Before you go, look on your left, look to your right. Note down the person. It is your responsibility, every one of you, to bring those two people with you.